So the video never showed up. It's 10 hours after. It's still somewhere on the internet. If you know the link, you can find it. It has 300 and something views, but it doesn't show up in my videos. It doesn't show up on my front page. I can't download it for some reason. And so I ripped it, and from now on, and I'll repost it right now, but from now on I'm going to, screen capture check one, check two, check. The carnage. Oh my goodness. The carnage, folks, in the Philippines at Boho. I'm not laughing because it's in Boho. I'm just laughing because they already been hammered, and we've been talking about Boho so much, and it's ironic that here we are back at Boho, Philippines. And I seen the chat room just a couple minutes ago. I peeked in and it was like really busy, and I was like, well, I can't keep up with that one right at that moment because I was getting ready to come online, so I'm going to come down to it. And this is quite something. This is, in any other aspect, this would be a F4 hurricane. Tornado, I'm sorry. Except that, an F4 would be maybe a half mile wide. This creature, those top speeds, it hit land at 195, gusting to 235 miles per hour, but sustained at 195. It was like the big bad wolf coming in, and here goes 100 square miles for 1,000 miles. Get out of the way. This is something you would expect to see on Mars, not on Earth. Okay. And what's going on is all that radiation, that hemorrhaging, just 3 million gallons a minute going over the cores. There's 300 tons a day that they're reporting on. But that 3 million gallons, all that radio and all that, and all the stuff that's coming out of those cores, every time those rods go down and that gets atomized and gets up there and rains back down into the ocean and gets picked up in all these clouds, and it's just the witch's brew. Well, each one of these gamma and beta particles are energy. That's energy. It's energy, right? It's just beating energy. And so when the cyclones are picking this up, well, the cyclones are going to get more energy, period. It's just physics, I would imagine, is the better way to explain it out, is that when you got this volume of water and you give it a boost, it's mad. It's totally insane what we're looking at in the future. And this thing is going to hemorrhage out for another 40 or 50 years. And so what are we going to get? 1,000-mile typhoons? And it's just something that I postulated just a while back, 4 or 5 videos back. I know I was talking about global warming. I used it in that perspective, and like I was watching it today, and I was like, oh my goodness, that thing is 100. That thing is hitting land at 195. So I went and looked up tornadoes, and it was a number 4. Can you imagine number 4 coming through your neighborhood? I mean, usually they're, like you say, quarter mile at best. Maybe a rare one, say 3% or something like that, would be a half a mile or something. And here we are. We're looking at something that's even more ferocious. It's bringing with it up to a 50-foot storm surge in some areas, up to 50 foot. And so people got to worry about getting electrocuted, let alone everything else, everywhere they're going. Usually you get on your roof. If you get on your roof now, you're liable to pitch a quarter mile away if you're lucky. Whatever's left of you. This is carnage we're talking about now. That's carnage, okay? That's not going to go away. It's only going to get bigger and more scarier and a lot faster than anybody's willing to admit. Like all the big players get up on the media. They can't come out and postulate the real numbers, terrorize the entire planet at the one time. I'm not going to wake up no planet with what I'm doing here, but I am educating the people that are seeking it out and trying to figure it out and get it into a perspective. Because when you think about the jet streams and the ocean currents, well, then you use that to where you're going to go live to in the near future. That's as simple as that. That's the only way you can rationalize it, and that's the only way you can come to closure and to terms with it, that you got to you're going to live in a radiated future. And I'm going to say that in each and every video so that any new people that are coming by, and there was a lot on the feed here today. Thank you so much for everybody that's joining us. And I wanted to start it off with that, and I use that as a title because that's how I see this, and that's how I've been looking at this, and that's what we've been talking about, and just never dreamt we would see it this fast, this early, early in the game, because we're going by these numbers that they keep feeding you, right? You got to watch out for that. When they're feeding you numbers, you got to start looking for your own numbers. What numbers are they ignoring, And we know that the cores originally was 1 million gallons each a minute. There's 1,440 minutes in a day. You can do the math. It's 4.3 billion gallons a day hemorrhaging into the ocean with all these isotopes and all these gamma and beta. And that's energy. Purest kind of energy that might last for hundreds of thousands of years and billions of years of energy. Self-producing energy. That's what makes nuclear... That's why they need these sarcophagus to hold them in the sarcophaguses. And this has been going on for about 50 years into our oceans. But this has accelerated the game, see? This was like making a big 5-gallon bucket of wine and then taking, putting 4 gallons of wine there and taking a gallon of moonshine and dropping down into it all of a sudden. And everybody's too drunk to know the difference, and so they're still going into the bucket. Not many people's going to be left standing shortly after because that overloads you. And it overloads, right? It's a concoction. They enhance each other. And then when you take it, that's glyphosates, and I want to cover a bit of that in a minute here for everybody. I want to come down and get some comments because we got lots going on there. And I see Annie Beck. Oh, Miss Milky's here. That's right. Hey, Miss Milky. Hi, Blasted Hippie. I'll just run down to the highs. Aragot May. I'm far behind, obviously. Benny. Hi. 750,000 people to evacuate. Miss Milky the Clown. Yeah, I'm looking at the reports. It's absolutely... It's the most frightening thing you could imagine. 195 mile an hour wind trying to tear the skin off your body, let alone try. You can't stand up. I was on the ocean one time, and it was probably, I think the forecasters were saying it was blowing, gusting at 100, and I was trying to get up to the anchor and see how see if it was dragging, because we were dragging all day. We had to keep picking up the anchor, moving it. And so I was doing that. I was all night long. I slept with my gear on, and I would run. Every time I opened my eyes up, I'd run up to the bow and I'd grab the anchor and check it. And when the wind calmed down, we went and tied onto an island. We couldn't get close to the islands. We got stuck in behind and it was high tide. Long story. I won't go down that road. But I couldn't bend over. I had to get down on the deck and hide under the rails and pull myself up and put my hand on it at the strongest points. I couldn't physically bend over and get down, and I was hanging on to the stay wires from the bow going up to the top of the mast, and I just couldn't get down. It was amazing. I thought I was going to get blown over the side of the boat. Can you imagine what, 195? I can't even conceive it. I can't conceive that. So you're not going flying kites, Miss Milky the Clown, after Chernobyl, then El Nino, then El Nina, blah, 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 blah. Hi, Leo. Hi. Anna Beck says, I saw that Argot. That really ticked me off. 43% of the thyroid problems, Knowles likely to become cancer. We're going to cover some more natural cures, too. I got a little folder there with some more for the night. We'll save some for tomorrow night and some for the night after. None of our lives, because there's no way to cover it all, but none of our lives will ever be the same, obviously. I can't watch TV at all. John. I'm just going to cover a couple of comments, and then I'm going to come back up to what I got there. Yeah, you're welcome, Benny. Yeah, there's Miss Milky was saying 3/4. I hear a couple of million, but I've heard reports of even less than that, like 500,000, 250,000, stuff like that. But it's not the big. The majority are calling for, like Miss Milky's saying. It's really frightening. It's just, oh my goodness, the videos are all over the internet. And they just got hammered. There's 100,000 of them had their homes demolished on the 15th of October. And 10 days later, that was a 7.2 earthquake, and 10 days later, there was a 7.2 centered outside of Fukushima. And so that was the epicenter. and they kind of blew it off where they said tsunami, but normally a tsunami is at least 3 feet, and this one was only like 33 centimeters. So that was the disguise. That's how they come out and disguise it. And then they blew it all off. Every report after that was, oh, there was no tsunami. Go back to sleep and shut up. And all I wanted to do was see footage for myself because I knew better, obviously, when you look at what happened in Bohol, Philippines on October the 15th. And now they're getting hammered with 195 miles an hour. Not only that, that surge is coming in there. There's just an amazing amount of radiation in that. So that whole community and all that land is going to have all kinds of contaminants. And you need 1,300 Geiger counters to go there and check for that. Those, because there's 1,300 isotopes and we don't know what the hell, excuse the language, is there. I probably should use a stronger language, but we don't know what's there. 1,300 isotopes, so you got to get 1,300 Geiger counters, calibrate them to each isotope, but you got to know what the isotope is, and then you got to send it to somebody, and they got to be able to calibrate it to the specifications. You got to know exactly what the isotope is, and the gammas and the betas, and blah. So you can't. You need 1,300 people to man those Geiger counters. They got to know what they're doing. They got to be trained specifically how to look for those isotopes. Do you see the problem here, folks? And that Japan has gone into martial law and internet blackout since that 7.2 earthquake, and that's why we're back here again tonight on day 13 of the death plumes since that 7.2 earthquake, because they shut down the internet. There's no footage outside of that first couple hours at best, and we assumed there was some serious damage. They brought CNN and BBC apparently. Well, not apparently, but it's not true, because they said they were in the 4 and they were implying that the pictures and the video and the spot that they were to was the damaged pools, but they're not the damaged pools. There's 5 pools in that building, okay? And everybody knows that there's some serious damage to these pools, and those pools were like perfect shape. It's like they built a model probably and brought all the reporters into the model, and don't put it past them, okay? Not even for a second. Don't put that past them. So, Jerry, you've been praying to the Bible for the last 5,000 years, and nothing got happened because you didn't do nothing. You sat around doing shit all your entire lives, just praying for somebody else to come and solve your problems. Is that what you're saying? You're on the wrong feed here now, but you should go look for... there's a whole bunch of those Rapture crew out there trying to use this as a Rapture. None of you are scholars, okay? You're not a scholar, and neither were them. You should keep your conjectures to yourself, because you don't know what you're talking about, obviously. It doesn't say that in the Bible anywhere, to put a bunch of nuclear facilities on a fault line and wait for an earthquake and a tsunami to come in and whack it. Knowing what you're doing, having architects work that all out and say, oh yeah, go ahead, put it there. 5,000 earthquakes a year. Get real, man. Anyway, let's keep going through the comments. I'll go down to the first one and see what happened here. Hi, Daryl. I'm just reading a couple comments. Sorry, folks. I can't keep up with it. And broken windows and 2x4s to all that wind. Yeah, no. Well, the wind, right, Miss Milky, is... That's what you're saying, right? It's Swiss cheese. Like, it's all these projectiles at 195. At 195... miles an hour, and the buildings just shredding themselves. This is a tornado. It's yeah, it's not going around in a circle and cutting little sections through town, because it just takes everything with it in that 100-mile eye. We got no comparison to this. It's not supposed to happen for another 10 or 15 years before the radiation, according to them guys, their numbers. But when you look at our numbers, well, yeah. It's frightening that this is happening, so it's not going to stop. It's just going to get much worse. It's going to hit 300, 400 miles an hour because of all that energy coming out of the ocean, all these isotopes, all that, right? The ocean is energy. You're turning the ocean actually into an energy source itself. Who knows? Who knows 100%? You have another earthquake and dump all that stuff in those tanks. You can't get back there, and this goes on till the end of time. So you got to think ahead that... the right thing to do, the ethical thing to do, just, a human thing to do would be to take all of our institutions, go to work on this. It's time to come together. We got no choice. It's time to end all these wars and take all these bases and take all this military equipment and all that other stuff and put it to work. in the real war, the war against for survival. We're all in this together. Every country out there has to reevaluate their short periods ahead where things right now are in a pretty big lull because everybody's getting away with ignoring this. But as this is rushing its way out there at this stage, okay? It's rushing its way out there. You even got Suzuki, and he carries a lot of weights, whether people like him or not. I heard in the chat rooms there, that's irrelevant, okay? That's irrelevant. Canada loves him. All people all over the planet loves him. Him coming out at the University of Alberta on the 30th of October, not very long ago, a week ago, and saying that if Building 4 tips over, bye Japan, and you got to evacuate the entire North American coast, Canada and America, is a very strong statement, say. That reverberates, is reverberating, getting re-uploaded and sent off in emails, is out there everywhere at this stage. And so this is running out there. And now we got 195 mile an hour winds. Imagine if they're using HARP to give that a couple of little taps to get it going a little bit faster. Don't think they can't do that stuff, okay? Not even for a second. You don't know what they're up to. I don't know what they're up to either, but I got a pretty good idea because I'm paying attention for many years. And I just deal with the real stuff, and they play around with just the most kooky stuff you can imagine because they understand these physics. Yeah, I got no idea. Let me catch up on any comments. Is there a common isotope being emitted from Fukushima? Yeah, well, there's many variations, of that family tree on top of that of, say, cesium. It's not, and it's got all these byproducts, and then it's got all this, it's just it's all these byproducts of it, its family tree, and then all the other ones, and then the 1300, when you take the 1300 unknown into account, see, you can't keep up with it. And only 3 are indigenous to Earth, and that's the whole problem. Miss Milky, I got error. Try again. When I posted a comment mentioning Dipgo. Steve says he feels radiation illiterate. My parents' generation has more info on this stuff. Well, they're supposed to lock radiation up for 1 million years in a sarcophagus and then figure out a way to deal with it. The future generation in 1 million years is supposed to work out how to deal with it. See? That's their plan. There is no plan. Well, the plan was to build it where it was, have that happen to it at some point, maybe even help it, and exterminate most of the planet. That's literally their plan. They don't care if it takes all the life with it, all the other life. They've already got all the seeds. They already got their arcs, so to speak. Like at this stage, if someone was to tell me, oh, they got bases up on the moon, that's why no one ever goes there, because they don't want us to know that what they're up to, that they're going to kill off this planet. If it backfires, they need to bail. That's why they're building all these ships to go up to space all the time now, all these private entrepreneurs. It's like mad. And that's why Google is looking for life extension technologies. I mean, yeah, you could definitely go down that road because all of that is actually there. And who knows? They can't put it past them at this stage because they know this is going on. They know that if we came together, we could solve it, and they were not going to do that. And they know it's going to kill off just incredible amounts of people over the next 4 or 5 or 6 years, not to mention the next 10, 15, and 20, not to mention the GMO, not to mention the 65,000 unregulated chemicals that are not no environmental human impact studies done on them, and not to mention how they're drugging the population against their will through the water and through the foods. Which is different than the GMO, because you're allowed to lose 2,200 of these chemicals, these carcinogens, and you can just make food out of that. It's not actually food, but it looks like food, see? But it's legally food according to idiots and dummies and murderers. Certainly not me or you, right? The cowards, the lobbyists that got these laws passed. Hi, Loves Bean. I bet Dean Brid. Yeah, thank you, elites. I love that word for them. Cure. Yeah, well, we got a cure for radiation too. Thank you. Good call. Which I should start the video off with that stuff when I'm going to do it anyway, because that's more important than everything else I'm saying in any day of the week, is that you know about this stuff. And disconnect my monitor from this particular computer, what happens is all the... Because my desktop is just... It's hideous anyway. I got so much. Oh my goodness. I'm a hoarder on the internet. I'm literally a hoarder. So you can laugh at this one. Camel milk inhibits growth of colon cancer and other health potentials. But anyway, that headline, you look it up, you'll find some interesting stuff about it that'll lead you down the other road. And once again, we got cancer. I wanted to bring this one up. Was cancer industry total fraud exposed? Nearly all scientific studies failed to be replicated. And so you always got to put that one into the equation, unfortunately. And then you got to put in stuff like 1.3 million diagnosed for breast cancer in the United States. 1.3 million women were mostly, I guess, but we're overdiagnosed for breast cancer. And because it's huge money, right? They bankrupt you in no time at all. So making a mistake is nothing if they're going to get a whole, like an incredible amounts of money off each person, because that's exactly what they do. Grape seed extract better than chemo. Look up that one. Grape seed extract better than chemo. And here's a really interesting one that I had to get out there, and I'm just touching on this stuff tonight, but glyphosate was found to fuel cancer cells. That was another study, and pose carcinogenic threat. So glyphosates, which is in all GMO products, it's engineered in it. It was not in your food normally, but they engineered it into the DNA. And so when you get the cancers, this is hideous, eating that food, because it enhances that cancer. See? So that's so important to know about. That goes hand in hand with sugar. Okay, sugar fuels cancer. And so you need the dandelion, any kind of dandelion, but dandelion root tea is a nice way to do it. But you can eat dandelion, you can eat all of it. Like I say, you can make jams out of the flowers, you can eat the greens just like you would in salads or in vegetables, or boil it up and have it. And you can also make the tea out of it. But also the DCA. And let me bring that up for a second. Now, I went down this road, and a lot of people, I did find some stuff out there where they claimed, oh, you know, it's not at a trial yet. Well, the guy can't get it at a trial. Not like he's not trying. He was up on CTV. You'll find that clip up on my site, and you'll see his name there, and you can go over and find him right fast at the University of Alberta, Red Deer, I think it is. But it was an academically that it reduced all tumors by 70% at least in 3 weeks. That's heart and liver and lungs and all cancers, brain cancers. That's fantastic. That's survival, right? And you can buy it for $10. There's no patent, and you don't need a prescription. And there's other ways to get it consumption-wise. Go talk to your pharmacist. Just ask them. It's not a big deal. It's not illegal. It's got all this. It's a really good mineral. What it does is makes, one of the things they noticed about it was it rejuvenated your blood. It made your blood, because like when you get sick, your blood starts sticking together and it doesn't operate. And it's supposed to be all individual cells or so. And so when they clot up, that's where you get into trouble, and that's when you're in serious trouble. Well, what this does is it unclots it, and it's like incredibly efficient and fast. It just rejuvenates and allows it to go out and do what it's supposed to do naturally, your blood. And it's like if you stood up behind a car and you have all exhaust coming in your face, right? And then you're going to pass out. Why did you pass out? You passed out because those molecules displaced the oxygen molecule in your body. That's the same reason you get drunk. You drink all this alcohol, and it displaces your oxygen molecule. So when you stop drinking, you start getting clearer head again. But if there's smoke all around you, that's going to displace all the oxygen molecules in your body too. So that's how you actually get drunk, is you displace the oxygen molecules in your body, see? It's good stuff, particularly for hangovers, because you just breathe pure oxygen, you're good to go. It really, truly is. I've done that for just unbelievable amount of times. I was privileged, I guess, so. DCA, it says, do not add DCA to hot or warm beverages. and DCA is unstable. In other words, it don't perform very well at higher temperatures. And so you normally just add it, the experiment where they were adding it just to water that they were giving the mice. And the mice had these human tumors. And this is, yeah, it's, hi Benny. I'll come down to people's questions, comments here in a moment. There is a mineral supplement by, I can't pronounce it. You're right, that contains dandelion root, developed in 22 by, and your pH levels, right, Stephen? Thank you. So late stage melanoma, late stage cancers, lymphoma, brain cancers, all kinds of really terrible cancers, and sorted them out really fast. And so that's where, you know, when you put it in combination, with, and I love turmeric, I just love it anyway, so good with any food. And it's 700 peer-reviewed academic studies, and I can't mention that enough, how because everybody can get access to that, see? And so just that, and just the dandelion, you're filling your body up with these nutrients and these minerals that you can't, if you try to go out and buy them individually, you spend a month's paycheck trying to get it. And new study showed radiation treatment creates cancer cells 30 times more potent than regular cancer cells. So that's why you got to get off the coastline, because you're in a radiated, it's no different than going in, well, it's different because it's worse, but it's the same thing as living in the airport body scanners every day of your life, like setting one up by your house, on your house. That's what this radiated environment Fukushima is pumping out. Yeah, cancer feeds on sugar, and that's a well-known one, folks. And Benny, thanks for repeating that for us, because that's. Let me go down and catch any comments, and I'll come back down to what the cancer stuff for us. Yeah, camel milk, yum yum. But I just wanted, because I haven't covered that very much, and I think it's important that everybody get a sample of these things and they can go out and look for it themselves and start recognizing it. You want to get the stuff with the peer-reviewed academic journals, at least that, right? Just to verify things for yourself. That's what I always do, so I don't leave myself open. There's no misinterpretations, right? Hi, Saint Stupio. Last hippie, ulcerative diseases can exist in an alkali environment. 7.2 is the golden pH for the body. Yeah, and grapeseed extract, camel's milk, dandelion. No, that's very true, okay? That's the stuff I deal with. Howdy from Vancouver, BC. I got no idea. Steve, research started told me in the 80s they had a cure for cancer when they discovered DNA, but the billions being raked in. That's right. Just by charities and everything else. You can add turmeric. I know people add it to everything. And not only that, it has it's 700 peer-reviewed studies. One of them is actually rejuvenate your body, makes you look younger, makes you more healthier, and gives your skin keeps your skin tight. It's like getting a facelift for a lot of people if you eat a lot of it, and you can. It's not going to hurt you. It's just all nutrients and minerals. See? And it costs $10 or $12 for a fairly big bottle. It lasts you forever because you don't use very much, but you can use a spoonful. Miss Milky, Annabek was saying, how many isotopes can they isolate? Well, they can isolate as many as they can get the numbers on. The problem is a lot of these are weaponized, and they don't release that information. In fact, Miss Milky will tell you that the CN report, I'll strike a memory with her, they said they weren't allowed to take any pictures, only what TEPCO let them take. So if TEPCO got nothing to hide, why would they do something like that on top of that? Besides the fake number 4 poll, besides the fake story that Fukushima was the second worst nuclear accident. That was yesterday morning, excuse me. Fukushima's got 3 melted cores. And CNN yesterday morning was saying that it's, with that Piers Morgan just for a start, that it was the second worst nuclear accident. Chernobyl was the worst. You just want to go down and whack somebody sometimes. No kidding, right up the side of the head. I can't imagine him saying that to me. Just how long before the Pacific is literally boiled. Daryl. Well, Don't know. But if you went by their numbers, well, you're going by the currents, and you're going by the big lot that's coming out there. Then you got to look at the 1,000 miles of clouds and storms that are getting pushed, and then the typhoons, and then the troposphere, how it interacts with other countries and other continents, and so it moves a bit of the way. A lot of it gets here. The really nasty stuff is getting airborne and whisked over right away from Japan. That's one of the reasons they're getting away with some of the things they're getting there. But they're living in borrowed time. I mean, all of Japan should be taken to a nuclear waste site, and all that topsoil in that entire country has to go to a nuclear waste site, and that whole country is, under standards just a couple of years back, is uninhabitable. Now they just keep changing it to accommodate the new numbers, but it's not the real numbers, because if they told you that, everybody would just, start climbing hills to get out of there. And let me remind you, those couple again, papaya leaf extract is a very powerful cancer fighter, folks. And you can get that on the shelf, see? It's the same with the pineapple enzyme, is superior to chemotherapy, is these peer-reviewed studies. And ginger, turmeric, we already covered. And then you had, why is the food industry poisoning us with trillions of nanoparticles? Why is the food industry poisoning us with trillions of nanoparticles? Because a nanoparticle can get through the liner of your lung. And anything that gets through your liner of your lung and lodges can become a tumor. See? And isotopes and radiation, they attack your body just like, oh my goodness, because they're just pumping out all that energy all the time. And so that's just the way it is. That's how your body reacts to it. It's a foreign thing, but except it's not even indigenous to the planet Earth itself. These isotopes, these are man-made isotopes. See, we only have the indigenous isotopes, the three ones. They're not so bad because even when we liberate them, we can still deal with them. It's only when we weaponize them that they become, they need to be in a sarcophagus for 1,000,000 years, They got to dig out mountains to get enough to make a weapon, but they're environmentally clean, right? People just don't want to go down that road. We could have solved all of our problems a long time ago, and we lock everything up in the ivory towers our entire existence, folks. And let me go up, see how long we're going. That's pretty good, 32 minutes. Let me come down and catch any comments. And I'm almost finished with this anyway. We'll come back over to the superstorms again. I'm Miss Milky. Fish Candy Bake Company. So now it comes to the point where we need to wear radiation detectors because who knows what tomorrow's winds will blow in. Yep. And sunflowers. Let's go back down. I see Miss Milky there. They're going to sit and wait until Mother Nature knocks the building into the Pacific. Could we be so lucky? Then the fat lady cries. Sings. Hi Jack. Hey Dana. Could either compile a list in the description or mention on your show the peer-reviewed news sources for... Yeah, I'll go get them and I'll post them a little bit later here. All of them. Not all of them, but... Because you can't fit them all under. You can only fit so many links under. But I'll pick out a whole whack of good ones. Probably 20. I think I can get 20 or 25 links under my videos. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll do that with every video. Even if I don't talk about this stuff, I'm going to put all that under the videos from now on, folks. So people can go flush it all out themselves. Right? I think that's really important. I don't know why I didn't do that. I'm so glad you mentioned it, Jack. Thank you. And another one, aggressive cancers hate plant-based diets. And I got that in that folder, and that's good for today. But I got that there because that's part of why you really need to truly understand is that you got to get away from all this manufactured deception in your supermarkets. It's all GMO. You can't trust a single thing in there. You really, truly can't. And it takes a while to flip around and be able to fend for yourself in that environment. But then this stuff on time is all like the basis for your cooking and stuff like that too, And I haven't got it there, but that coconut oil, just like a spoonful of that with your rice or something like that, just before you eat, put it in your rice. Don't heat it up. It's incredibly good. And so if you enrich your body with any of this stuff, and just a little bit one day, a little bit the next day, a little bit the next day, and you're always doing that, and those 40 plant bases, there's 2 or 3 every day that you put in your salads, and then next week you change another 2 different 3 for your salads. And that's preventive medicine. Yes, everything's going to be radiated on this planet. Yes, all the water is going to be radiated. And that's another thing, the water. Somebody was asking me on another video, I forgot about that one. Is Mountain Dew the same as mountain water? No. But it's close. Mountain water, I determine it this way. This is my take on it. Is water that had made its own channels over thousands of years. And it runs down that channel. Not the water that runs through a pipe. It changes the structures. And that's what I meant to say, actually, structured water. Now, I'm not saying that the Mountain Dew itself that's coming down off the mountain is not. I don't know that question. But that's what I was talking about, was the mountain water. Go up and get a spring. Even a spring at the bottom of a mountain is the mountain water that I'm actually, even though you don't have to go to that extreme. The reality of it is your puddle water, that dirty puddle water you got out there, is probably better than the water you're getting out of your taps. That's sad, pathetically. And I got another good one for you. There was, and I'll come right over to your comments, but there's, and this is important, scallop shells. Get them off the beach now while you can. And they'll change the alkaline of your water too. But if, like, say, if you put if you take it and you bake it in your oven for about 3 hours at 315 degrees, a scallop shell or types like that, any kind of shell like that, but a scallop one was the one they done the experiment with, but they're all kind of the basic same things. I've seen it under the ocean, like 50 feet wall of shells, must be like 500,000 years old. The ocean had just chewed it out. And as I came up the wall, it was all mussels and abalone and scallop and oyster shells all packed together. And that was 50 feet straight up, and I've seen that. And I estimated I'm coming in with a container ship and probably never get it all out of that one spot in my entire life, even with a big vacuum. That's how much was there. The ocean floor was built over millions of years, obviously, on the dead bodies of each other, right? And the shells. But I know I digress. The shells, if you drop it into a fish tank after you bake it in your oven and kill all the parasites in it, you might, your water will always be perfectly clean, and all you have to do is vacuum up the old poop off your fish tank floor, but your water will be clean. But they use it on battery acid. They took shells and put it down in the battery acid, and it neutralized the battery acid. No, it was no more acidic than lemon juice. And they took muddy water from a pothole. That's how this whole conversation digression began. And they put it in, and within 24 hours, it was better than anything, and the structure included, but it was better than anything that you can buy in the shop or get out of a tap. It was just beautiful water. It was muddy water from the local pothole at the university, see? So that's pretty fascinating that if you can get a collection of that, you can filter out water. I know they do that in other countries, actually. That's one of the ways they do filter out water. Let's come over and catch up on any comments. Bunkers will not save them. No, we'll dig them up with shovels. They've already been radiated, so that is the good news. Funny, Dana, I have lots of things you mentioned on hand. Yeah, no, I bet you do. Most was for the bunnies, but now they are for me, I guess, yeah. The bunnies, set them free and eat the rabbit food. Benny, once we're gone, how will the 1% make any money with us? So it's worker ants. They don't need it. Yeah, you bet, Jack. Steve, I'm hoping for a good chunk of the 1% goes with us. Well, we're going to take them all with us. We're going when they're going too. Unless they're up on the moon. Don't be surprised. Can Boot Dragon, Annie, I'm only able to follow comment, no audio or video. That's no fun. Try refreshing your page. I guess no good telling that to you because you don't hear that one very often. And I didn't show up in my search engines video yesterday. I checked on another friends of mine with the phone today. It didn't show up. Oh, interesting. That's like 2 or 3 of my videos now that were in the search engine originally. And once I went live and the video should have been rendered, it went back up. Sometimes it showed up, but a few hours later it would disappear. And that's in the most recent, and so you can go all the way to the next day and the day after and the day after, and the videos never change, but mine disappears. Go figure, eh? Whatever. I don't care. Sunflowers suck blocks out some radiation. Not sure, but I think I gotta look for that one. I think I might have something about that there. Hi Daryl, are we talking complete kill off in the Pacific? Yeah. What? And let me break that down for people, what that really truly means. Well, we're getting all kinds of weird news. Let me come back up. And I'll come back up to that one. Just give me a second. Because when someone comments, my comment goes, and I gotta come back and find it. There we go. Papaya leaf, pineapple, fish, candy, Miss Milky. I think I got everybody there. Blast the hippie. My partner knocks back a teaspoon of turmeric and water every night for hypertension. Oh yeah, it is so, man. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to do it. I got a friend of mine does the same thing. And hemp oil is really good. Hemp seeds, unbelievable, rich, unbelievable nutrition. Inconceivable how good it is for you. And people are just scared. Oh, it's hemp. And you can get it pretty cheap and get a lot of it. And buy it. It's so good just to sprinkle on this or sprinkle on that. And you're just adding that nutrition to your food, right? So it's a win, total win. We used to eat 8,500 plants. 8,500. Supermarket now we're eating 7. Literally everything on every shelf there is made up of the 7 GMO modified creatures. They're not food, they're creatures. They look like food, but they're actually creatures. There's no nutrition, there's toxins. That's not food, that's creatures. Yeah, water treatment. That's a good one, yeah. Hi, Ruben. No dumb questions. It's okay. Theoretically, it would make sense to fog and dust the skies above Japan to bind as much as possible before it comes across. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. That's what they should be doing. That's what they've been doing for 50 decades. That's what those chemtrails are all about. It's got nothing to do with global, reflecting sun into outer space. It's trying to stop those isotopes from getting into the troposphere, and it's also to make them bind with particles because they're electrically charged with the gammas and the betas. And so the dust that they're using is designed to accept those charges and to bind and aggregate and weigh it back down. They've been at this a long time. They've been leaching into our oceans for at least 4 decades. We know Sellafield, England's got 8 million litres a day. That's not going to stop going into that ocean. We got, like I say, off San Francisco, off of Russia, 440 nuclear plants, all got pipes going into the ocean. They're always blowing it out there. They just don't tell people anymore. They can't let it go up the chimney because you might have a whole bunch of people in the community die, and nuclear power is finished anyway now once this goes out there next year or so. That what this is going to do to the ocean, create these super typhoons, these massive tornadoes. That's a tornado. That's a 100-mile tornado. Can you imagine if the media come out and said 100-mile tornado goes down and I don't know what's a good word for what happened to the Philippines today? Bludgeoned? Is that a strong enough word? It must be hell on earth. Can you imagine 195 miles an hour? Can you imagine that? Imagine some woman getting her hair done and spend $500 to get her hair all done and walk out into that thing. Take the hair right off your head. Gray Rose, I can't get video unless I sign out and clear cookies. That's brutal. What was that chemical in GMO food? I mentioned that was the glyphosate and formaldehyde. Both of those are carcinogenics, right? Known carcinogenics on top of that. Rough world we live in, yeah. From KY, hemp seeds, a plenty. Yeah, I bet, eh, Steve? And Ruben, did I get your question at all, I wonder? Yeah, no, I did. I went down that road. Okay. I like my arrow water. Tastes like nothing. Make sure I get everybody, because I'm keeping on top of it. So, Miss Milky, awesome. Fish tank advice. I will use that. Yeah, bake it for 300 degrees. Put it in water and boil it is my suggestion for probably 20 minutes. And then shake it and pat it with the paper towels. And don't preheat your oven. Put it in the oven and let it preheat with the oven. That way you don't crack it. And just, I say bake it for 3 hours. Just kill all the parasites in it because it's salt water going into your freshwater tanks. But it's fantastic. I've seen it done a number of times now, but it's pretty cool. Blast the hippie, a lot of fresh looking product in supermarkets. Well, look, if you go to the supermarket and it looks really nice, that's GMO. Real food don't look like that. Real food don't look like you should take a picture of it, okay? Real food looks like, I gotta cut that off, I gotta cut this off. That's real food. You know that's real food. And so it's really easy to spot because when you go in the supermarket now, everything looks like someone sat there and just polished it, you know? Please. Yeah. They made it look good, but they took all the nutrients, all the potassium, all the magnesium, all the cobalt, all the iron, all the energy out of the food, and then put in 5 toxins, and you can't even wash it off. It's right into the very DNA of it. I mean, that's proven by peer-reviewed studies. And so it's easy to see why you have all these new disease and issues coming up, because people that are subsiding on that and living on that. And most of it's craft. I mean, craft is hideous. It's hideous. You go into any supermarkets, we got 3 big ones, really big things here. And when you go down the aisle, craft, like half price, 2 for 1, blah, blah, blah. No matter what it is you're looking for, there's craft, and there's 3/4 of this craft. And so it's very easy to go down that road. I've talked to my friends as well, you know, it's good, right? And I'm like, no, it's not actually. So let me start to wind it down for everybody. Make sure we see what we're doing here. 45 minutes is respectable. Yeah, I mean, formaldehyde, my insides might be very pretty. Yep, yeah. You'd be around just as long as King Top wood is. Most of us, if we have saltwater tanks, no problem. Oh yeah, well there you go. But it's still nice to keep those. Well, those parasites. When it comes to like habitat for saltwater, there's also the microparticles, the micro life itself. In other words, you know, like how a honeycomb works, right? And you can have all kinds of different sizes of lives in there. That's something indigenous to the ocean. If you pick up a rock, you'll really see it on a rock, and you look at it with a magnifying glass. Not along my coastline, but somewhere else. But and you look at it, and you'll see just incredible amounts of life as you spin that rock around. It's just everywhere. Particularly if you can hold it on a clear day underwater and look at it, and it's just sitting naturally. I used to do it all the time. Fascinating stuff. So Caribou dragon. It's an interesting name. Got no idea what it means. Should be no THC in hemp seeds. No, cannabis seeds would be a whole other matter. Did I say cannabis seeds or hemp seeds? I said hemp seeds, I hope, but I don't know. I don't know what the story. That's a good question. You know, what is the story on that? Maybe cannabis seeds would be even better, I would imagine. Oh, you're welcome, Stephen. No, so few know ask questions. But I always try to encourage people, once again I'll remind people that when you see the comment section alongside of the video, then that means we're actually live at that point. And if it's under the video, I'm not live. And I should say that at the beginning of every video and several times during the video so people that are joining us can understand whether it's actually live or not. Because I can see how that can be confusing. Annabek and Kelly, what the supermarkets are selling in the meat departments are the animals that died eating the GMO corn. I like it. You get first prize. Yeah, you're welcome, Albert. Thank you. Ergot May, easiest to grow. Got a good little list here. Thank you so much. I'll make a screen capture of that after for sure. I like just like little bites like that too, because that's so handy. Thank you. Blasphemous, you can eat hemp seeds, right? You can sprout them, blend them, removing the shells with spring water to make milk. Yeah, very cool. And yeah, the supermarket, you know, we seen that in Britain where they weren't allowed to have GMO, but they had this little thing there where it was okay to feed the GMO to the chickens and the cows and everything else. Dirty buggers, you know, dirty buggers. Just any way they can get in there. They don't care. Any way they can get in there, they're going to do it. And no one holds them account because corporations have human rights instead of charters, illegally unconstitutional human rights. And that's why none of them ever goes to jail, and that's why they only get a fine, right? It's because corporations got human rights. Solve that and you'll solve every other problem. Besides Fukushima and 195 mile an hour winds that brings a whole kind of new meaning to the words "I'll huff and puff and blow your house down." It's like it doesn't even huff, it doesn't puff, it just, where was my house again? It's where was my neighbor's house again? Because when that comes through, and it did, and it's still moving, It's a 100-mile wide F4 tornado. A typical tornado is like a half mile at best. Actually, that's usually a quarter mile maybe. And that's a big, that's wow. 195 miles per hour. And the scary part is it touched shore and it came with it 20 to a 50-foot storm surge. That's tsunami stuff, okay? That's electrocution time now. And you can imagine what the Philippines, I'm not laughing, it's just gallows laugh again, is the Philippines, low-lying houses and the telephone poles, people are tapping into it themselves all the time, and everybody, you're getting soaking wet because it's a typhoon, so it's lugging all this radioactive water into the Pacific, and those gamma and beta particles are heating up the typhoon. It's like, what? It's like I don't even want to think about it. All I know is, and we're going to end it up on that, I guess. I'll catch a few comments as we go out, but I'll end it up, as I should do every night, is that you want to think about your future and where you're going to live. And if the words "I'm going to live by the Pacific Ocean" is the first stuff out of your first sentence, then you need to go back and watch this video again. So you look at the weather patterns of the Pacific itself. You're looking at the salinity of the oceans, how they meet each other. You're looking at the troposphere, how it lifts it up and moves it around the planet and redistributes it around the planet. And you find that's pretty sporadic, but is well known. All of this is well known, see? And then you got your El Ninos and your El Ninos, as Miss Milky was saying earlier. We got, what else am I forgetting? No, so that's it. The wind patterns, the jet streams itself, and the ocean currents, and the conglomerates of, there's different layers to the ocean. Some of the oceans are traveling at different speeds, and when they ram into the equators and tries to mix with the other oceans, it's actually it's very hard for it to do because of different temperatures and different salinities. And so we have a little tiny saving grace from that. And that also translates up above it a little ways too. But it's not like there's a wall there. It's not like radiation respects any borders. And so this is going to create large clouds, and that troposphere is going to pick up there for decades. Maybe up, once it gets above that, the next layer up, then it circulates the entire planet. So we're going to live on a radiated planet. We have to learn how to eat healthy in order to mitigate the radiation that's coming our way. And there is a lot of people out there are starting to understand how this works in cancer world, but that's still it's going to just suffocate the Pacific Ocean, because that kind of radiation and all that energy that's putting out, that's also creating these typhoons, kills the oxygen making properties of the ocean, the protoplankton, and then all the other food chain then becomes unstable and has to die off. It can't survive. There's no oxygen. That'll wear out, see? There is a 300 million kilometers, and so the estimates that it's going to be in really deep trouble was about 6 years, but that was based upon extraordinarily flawed models, not the 3 million gallons a minute coming over the 3 cores. No one's used that 1,440 times a day, 973 days equation. I don't think I've seen it out there, but I've heard it, and then I sat there and done it myself. And as I started to work on it, I had to go back and figure out what they were saying, because I had this idea. And so I looked at those numbers, and I didn't like them. 4.3 billion gallons of radioactive stuff a day going into the ocean, which means the ocean is a hot ocean. And they're not going to tell you that. And so we need that narrative out there so that people can understand. You look at the ocean currents, you look at the wind currents, and you base your decision up on where you're going to live from that, right? You're making an informed decision, but you can't escape it. But at least you can minimize it, and you can learn how to live a healthy lifestyle and be thankful that you had that opportunity, because a lot of people won't. A lot of people have no concept and probably never will. And a lot of people refuse to believe it and don't want to believe it and can't believe it because they're lulled into the la-la land. And that's just the way it is, folks. So we'll come to catch any of the comments. Thank you, Benny. Spud. Yeah, they're going to blame the cancers in the near future on vaccines instead of the radiation, or they'll blame it on cell phones instead of the radiation, or they're going to blame it on the GMO foods instead of the radiation, and they're never going to admit to it. But they can't avoid it anymore with 195-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, a lot of people much smarter, much more articulate, much more credibility than myself have already postulated this, I'm sure, before my video was even started to post. I didn't find that. I'm sure it's out there. You can be sure of it, because how can it not be? See? Everybody knows what the radiation, the gamma, and the beta particles are doing. So in the cupboard for 5 years, still good? Who is it? Did you feed him? Did you take him out for walks? That was a joke, Miss Milky. So in a cupboard for 5 years, I don't know what you mean. I'm going to be here for a few minutes, so if you can... Well, you had 60 watching for a minute? Yeah. Yeah, that was nice numbers. Yeah, I'm surprised myself. We had 74 last night. Shocked me. That's pretty cool, you know, because these videos, that makes them more entertaining. We got more people joining in on the conversation, and it keeps everybody on their toes. Of course, we get these scattered surprises. Get a few. We need a few. We always need a few trolls. I know every once in a while I go off on one, but I don't hold a grudge, and it's just that's something I do once in a while. YSALYS. You've been making it for 4 years, Stuart. Wow, Miss Milky says the ocean temperatures increased off Japan around 3 degrees in the last year. I'm laughing because that's frightening. That's frightening. And Kale being from Hawaii, yeah, you're right in the middle of that witch's brew, see? And Auntie Kelly, you're right in the middle of it. You got to look at the wind, the ocean currents, and then you got to look for jet streams and stuff like that, and find out where you can get on the lee side of this. You can't get away from it. Where can you get to the lee of it? And you'll be much better off than most people on the planet. Yeah, the ice age is coming. Who knows? Make sure I get everybody. Yeah, you're welcome, Miss Milky. Annabek. Yeah, I got everybody, I think. Yeah, I hear you, Annabek. No, we need pushback. We need to inform people. We need to, because this is a shock to everybody when they find out, and when they don't get the context that we get each night. I can't imagine how scary that must be for some people, or how terrifying that truly is. I can't imagine, unfortunately, because I've been down that road, and I decided I had to go see what the ocean done, and what the currents are like, and what the wind's done. And once I'd done that, I felt so much better. But it still took a few days. I'll be honest, I had panic attacks those first couple of days, because I went down that rabbit hole. And I didn't look for solutions for the first couple of days. I was just looking at the terror and trying to disprove it. And then I went looking for solutions finally. And that was what's really saved me mentally, and was because that really devastated me, obviously. I'm still here today doing this. Yeah, thanks, Hippie. And don't forget, thanks, Jack. I probably will, but I'll come back tomorrow morning and read the comments, and then I'll remember if I do forget, because I'll come back and check, right? All I need to see is your name, and I'll remember. But I want to remember to do it in every video, and I'll probably retroactive that too, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, just in case people don't come this far, see? And they only come across one of my other videos. It'd be great if they can find. And so, yeah, I should do that, obviously. I'll try to figure it out, a better way of doing it, though, down the road for people, too, so that they can aggregate it quicker. So, I think we got everybody. Miss Milky, talking about the silver. Like you say, it's a conglomerate, or just, so many of these things that we talked about last night and the night. All of that, if you went out and bought it all and had it all in your cupboards, you wouldn't worry about it anymore. Like living alongside the Pacific, one of the issues I have with it now, of course, would be not only the radiation and the radiated thunderstorms and the typhoons and blah, blah, blah. Not really typhoons, they're actually F4 tornadoes that are 100 miles wide at their most powerful, but that doesn't mean they're like this is huge. This is New York all the way down to Toronto. This is like unbelievable, massive. This is this is unbelievable, man-made phenomenon that's only going to get worse, only going to get faster, only going to get meaner, only going to get bigger. Because all that water, all these particles, all that energy, there's more going into the ocean every day, and it accumulates. And then these storms are sucking it up, and just it aggravates them. That's exactly what's going on. Everybody in the real world can understand something like that. Hi, Fundicize. You're welcome. Good to see you. Stephen, Annabek, I'm not going to catch up. Just Blasted Hippie, Jerry, Jack, Miss Milky, and Benny, Auntie, Kelly, Yasalis, Saint Stupo. I think, yeah, that's good enough down the road. We'll come back up. I don't see anything else to add to the conversation tonight. We've been going for 1 hour, so there you go. It's like an instinct. I know when I get to my hour limit. All I can say is it's 13 days since the internet blackout, since martial law, and I stand firm behind those words, because when millions of Twitters and millions of Facebook posts missing every day, plus everything else, plus all the Hotmails and everything else and Yahoo mails, plus all the interaction, and then there's one or two of these little blogs that we don't even know if they're in Japan or the servers are too, and they're trying to use that, is crazy. And so we can't accept that. We want to see pictures of the damage from the two typhoons. We want to see pictures from October 25th earthquake and the damage all around Fukushima and Japan, Tokyo, and everywhere else. We want to see that flooding back out on the internet. We want to see these people free. And we want the world to see what's going on there before you destroy it on us, and before you kill all of us. We want to see some kind of attempt made, rational attempt, not a TEPCO ever. We never really, TEPCO shouldn't exist. And if it wasn't a corporate personhood, it wouldn't. They would all be in jail, and they would cannibalize TEPCO and try to use that to fix the problem down there. And instead, they're taking the most vulnerable people in your societies, and unknowingly, these people are being used to do the wrong jobs. And they're just playing games that they don't understand, that the entire planet has no choice now but to push back. We're an insignificant, tiny amount. But that amount, I can assure you, is growing in legions. And if they don't get their act together, they might be in for a serious shock. Because the world, it's better when you invite us in than it is when we have to come there, is the way I see it. And you're forcing us now. You're going to kill this ocean, then you're going to kill another ocean. You're going to kill this continent. You're going to kill the North American coastline. You're going to kill Australia at some point, and everything else. And you can't be trusted because you lied to us for 973 days. And now we know what you've done. You can't hide that from anybody anymore. And so does everybody out there. They know, all the informed people, and they're waking up in this last week or two. And you just got to do the right thing. We don't care about pride no more. We want to help you, and you got to let us in there. You got to accept our genuine offers and our sincere emotions that we want to drop any kind of animosity and just get busy and fix this problem. We could do it if we're given a chance, and we're not going to be given a chance. And I wouldn't know what to say besides that, is that I keep thinking that way, that if we're given a chance, we could actually do something before it's just, I don't want to see it another month, another 2 months down the road. I don't want to look at those numbers anymore. And so we got to keep pushing back until somebody else helps us, or somebody else starts pushing back, and others push back, and we won't have to do it so hard anymore. We can take a break, hopefully. That would be pretty cool. But in the right way, with a good narrative, so that people have hope instead of fear. Right? That's the big thing. Hope instead of fear. Look up your jet streams, look up your ocean currents, look up your natural products, your natural foods, get away from the GMO, and have a nice night. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.